Hi everyone, Aidan here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at, and later we'll be showing you how to install, this Inno Roof Rack system for raised rails on our 2023 Volkswagen Tiguan. It's important to note that this is for raised rails, which is great because that's what your Tiguan comes with. And if you're looking to expand the function of your vehicle, the best place to go, in my opinion, in this case at least, is the roof, because you already have these raised rails. Why not utilize them? This is going to be the easiest way to attach a roof rack for any car out there. Any car with raised rails, I always recommend a roof rack because it's so easy to install and it's just a lot less complicated than other kits like I've used on my own vehicles in the past. This option from Inno will clamp around the bar. It's really hard to see because this is a pretty low profile tower, but there's a band that will wrap all the way around and it's got a metal core in that band. And when it clamps down, it gets a really strong fit on the roof, allowing you to attach accessories. When looking for roof racks, there's a couple different brands I strongly recommend. Rhino-Rack is probably one of my favorites. Yakima makes great options, and so does Inno. And of all the ones we've worked with on this Tiguan here, I think this option from Inno might be my favorite. And it's a little bit different than the other kits because the crossbars that come with it are two different lengths. You get a 54-inch crossbar in the front and a 51-inch crossbar in the rear. But you'll probably notice that these two bars are overhanging by the exact same amount, and it looks like a really clean and even install even though the bars are 3 inches different. The reason for that is the roof of your vehicle is going to taper in as you go towards the rear. And it accounts for that by giving you two different lengths of crossbar in this kit, which I think results in a much better looking install. Just one of the things that sets it, I think, a notch above. It's also one of the only kits that comes with locks, proper locks with keys out of the box. And I just like that because this is going to be more secure than something like a plastic core. In addition to that, this is going to cover up your hardware to get it installed, and the install is tool-free because it's just a hand knob, not necessarily a bolt that needs a tool. So the overall process here is a lot easier and I think a lot more secure. This kit's going to utilize their aero bars, which is thicker in the front and tapers off towards the rear. This is going to be the best type of bar for wind noise just by limiting it and being a bit more aerodynamic. But I like it because it's going to give a pretty solid flat base for clamp around accessories to sit on top of, generally being a bit easier to play with and still being a great size for those clamps to wrap around the bar. In addition to that though, these bars have the ability to channel mount accessories by taking the end cap off the crossbar and allowing you to slide in to anywhere along the top of the bar. All you have to do is compress down that weather strip and it'll conform around your accessory, making sure that you don't get any wind noise in that channel, but also giving you a clean install with the channel mount. And as far as some measurements go, your crossbar spread can be really whatever you want. Because you have these raised rails and no fixed mounting points, you can put these wherever you need to work best with your own accessories at home or whatever you plan on picking up. And the big one to look for though is clearance with the roof. So from the tallest point on these ridges to the bottom of the bar, it's going to be about 2 inches. So that makes this a very low profile roof rack. You might run into issues with certain clamp around accessories not having enough room under the bar. So for example, on a box, I would maybe suggest going with something that has really low profile clamps. Yakima makes great roof boxes that have those low profile clamps that work great here, but it's just something to consider. And compared to the other kits, the Rhino-Rack sat even lower than this one, and the Yakima roof rack sat a little bit taller. I think this is a nice middle ground where it looks nice and low profile, but still gives you enough room to be comfortable. Finally, you have a weight capacity of 165 pounds, which is pretty on par for most roof racks. Just keep in mind that that's what the rack is rated for, not necessarily the roof of your Tiguan. So check your owner's manual and find out what its roof rating is, and go by the lowest rated component. The roof is typically the limiting factor there, so keep that in mind when you're loading things up onto your rack. Aside from that though, it's just the install that's left, and that's going to be probably the easiest part. So we'll walk you through that process now, and you'll be rocking and rolling with a roof rack in no time. all we really need to do for this install is make sure we get the right crossbar, because your kit does come with 2 different lengths. The shorter one will be for the rear of the vehicle, where those roof rails start to taper in a bit more, and the longer one will be for the front. Then just flip it over and turn your attention to this track right here. Ours is slid out right now, so just take this, slide it all the way in, and when it gets to this button, push it down and slide it in the rest of the way until this block right here is exposed. That's going to line up with these tracks on our tower. Drop that in and pull it out. Pull up and just make sure this isn't popping out. It's not, and repeat that on the other side. We'll take this to our roof now and just feed it over to the other side. Doesn't have to be super precise right now, but what I'm really shooting for is to get this band underneath the bar. Like that. It'll tuck into place with this notch. I'm just gonna make sure that the tower is pushed kind of against the bar. I'll do that on both sides and make some side-to-side adjustments, just making sure that the crossbar is even. And when I'm happy with that, I can take my attention to this hand knob and start to tighten it up, which will draw the band in and clamp this down to the raised rail, as well as clamp the crossbar down to the tower. When you have your positioning where you want it, side to side, and as well as front to back, so that you know your bars are running straight side to side and parallel with one another, I always like to give it a good shake test to make sure that all the tightening is good. And you can just finish off the install by popping these covers on, twisting the lock, and you're done. So overall, a very straightforward and simple install, probably one of the quickest that you're gonna get out of a good raised rail roof rack like this. So it's a win in my book, and I think it's gonna be a pretty good fit on the 2023 Volkswagen Tiguan. Thanks for watching.